We are live with Desires on Demand Money. Désirs à la demande.
That's trying to be French here. Kind of feels so at home in France. Me too. It's so funny
love
to
it. I love it. France is amazing. Yeah. Wait, I don't know. That doesn't really sound French. I'm going to fix a light here really fast because it bothers me.
That's the thing. Our topic is money today. It's absolutely one of my favorite topics, creation and money and business. So I get to talk about money, yes, for an whole hour with you guys. Yay!
Which means I will probably talk this much because you cannot get her to shut up when she talks about money. So
Yes.
take it away, Ms. Leeson. What would you like to talk about with money tonight?
And I just want to express the energy, like you guys are welcome to ask questions about it too.
Please do.
So it's free. We would like to open up the space for that to occur and help you guys in any way we can when it comes to money, because that's one of the things that I like. We can all change everything with money. I've seen it that with myself. I started Access when I had absolutely no money. It was really tough, and changed by using the tools every day and willing to never give up and always just demanding more. I'm in a space where it's very different. I was walking Signa today in this amazing, beautiful city in France, Amboise, and there's a big castle museum in the middle of the town. I was like, oh my God, you're beautiful. And I was just walking, like, really grateful for the possibility of travel through Europe and not have to think of, oh, I have to make money today. Oh God, I'm stressed and this will be really bad. And blah, blah, blah. I was like, wow, yes, I'll continue creating. I'll allow more to flow into my life. I'll create more and more and more because I do desire more money. And I'm also willing to be grateful for what I have created the last 7 years. So I was like, wow, the tools are quite simple. I do see most people give up after a certain amount of time or start judging that it's not showing up. So what if you did not judge you until it showed up?
And how about all of the energy you are using to quit? Actually, let's talk about all of the energy that you're choosing and using to quit that you're choosing. Somehow there's all of the energy you're using to quit that you are choosing will you destroy and then create it all.
That's funny. Everything that is good and bad, right, wrong, from work, online, shorts, both beyonds, and everywhere you got confused. And that's exactly what shows up with money, the confusion, because you can't figure it out. You don't know how, and you have to know the right way of doing it. Otherwise, it won't work. You have to know a way that will really make you successful. Everything that is can be destroyed and create that.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyond. Oh, this is so exciting. So recently we had a call called The Joy of Taxes with Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here. And on that call, we kind of got into a conversation where I was like, I just feel like I don't know where the information is as far as taxes are concerned. And Gary's like, yeah, that's normal. And I'm like, oh, right. So just like Leeson was talking about, everywhere that you're confused with money, which confusion really only occurs when you have a lack of information. Everywhere you've got confusion with money, will you just, and then ask, where do I require this information? What information do I require? Where is it? And start asking questions instead of going into, I don't know.
And there is no right way of creating money. Every person I've seen.
I'm getting it all wrong.
No, every person has so many possibilities. But if you, like when I started doing Access, one of the things that I saw, like, oh, you should be having classes. You should become a facilitator. Yes, for me that was quite obvious because I love facilitating. I've done it for years already.
You should really be working a 9-to-5 job.
I've done that less than a year in my life. I don't even know how that works.
You must be wrong.
Definitely wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
I did this absolutely humanoid thing. You're the 3 months, and I'm like, yeah, I just did it because it was catastrophic with my money situation. So I'll get a part-time job just to cover my expenses, and then I'll start creating with the rest. And then I got a job that was quite good, and I did full-time for a while. And then I'm like, funny, because when they were proposing or giving me the possibility to, after 6 months to have a steady job or whatever. It's not only trying out. I was like, I think I'm leaving now. So that was so funny to me because my family is business family, so it has always been more natural. And again, I was very curious, how does it look like to be employed? Because I was like, I don't know that version. And to go back to the energy of money, I do see, oh God, the points of use of money. I'm like, where are my bills? Just hold them in my hand.
Go ahead, go grab them.
Yeah, but I'm like, I'm hooked
You
up.
might-
I was
you
running
might have to
away
go
with the mic.
So one of the things too about oh no, I've got two microphones. Probably a bad idea. So part of the reason we're doing this call is sort of to more money call that we're going to be doing at the beginning of January. This money call will involve the money workbook. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say the money workbook, it's the Access Consciousness money workbook. It's a $35 workbook. Go out and do yourself a favor and spend $35 to change your reality around money. And if you don't know what I mean by changing your reality around money, I mean literally like your reality, the way you think. When you go, this is the way I have to make money. Like literally, we're in France right now. And before this whole sort of, I'm road tripping through Europe with Lisa as she moves from Sweden to Spain. And before that, I was like, I can't leave home because I have to be home in order to make money. And she's like, don't you do everything on the internet and on a computer and then you make money wherever your classes are when you go do classes? And I'm like, yeah, but I still feel like I have to be wherever I'm not really sure. I don't get it. So this is about reality, and the funnest part about changing your reality around money, whatever you think you have to do in order to create money, wherever you think you have to be in order to create money, whoever you think you have to be in order to create money, we change it. And the second you change it once, you're like, what the fuck else can I change? So everything that doesn't allow you to change your reality around money, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes, right and wrong, good and bad, from all my shorts, boys and youngs.
Talk about your money, Lisa.
That's funny because money work has been amazing. I've done it a couple of times. I've had several classes with it.
Only a couple, I'm sure.
I don't really remember how many times I've done it now. I've done it with a couple of classes as well, with a large amount of people. And it was really funny. One of the tools that I didn't know I was doing is basically touching money, smelling it, and really being with it. Because I had before disconnected myself from money, basically become unfriends with it. I didn't want it in my life. I was rejecting it. I wasn't really allowing it to contribute. I didn't like having it. So basically I didn't see it where it was possible to receive it either. And one of the things that was major changes in my life was when I was looking like, what relationship do I personally have with money? And it was crappy. Like I was the worst friend you could have. I dismissed it. I didn't care. I didn't like it. I didn't talk nicely to it. I judged it. I avoided it. I rejected it. I like anything you do to be not friends with it. And I'm like, okay, I really desire to have a great relationship. And Jonas was showing me that with his golf clubs, because he was kissing him and thanking them every time he had been playing golf because it was such a great event for him. And I'm like, that's awesome. That joy was something I would like to have in my life in every area. And at that time, I was looking at money physically. So I started having it everywhere in my life. Basically, it was on my table. I didn't have lots. I was like, my cash was there. I was willing to have it all in cash. And then I started with a 10%.
Us. I'm sorry.
Oh, of course he muted me. He already said I'm going to talk too much.
I keep hearing like someone like drinking something. And I was like, oh, this person up here's talking a lot, but that was us.
It's so funny. So do you guys know the 10% where you set aside 10% of everything you make, like generate, create, gifts, job, whatever it is, income? And you allow it to grow all the time. So it's maybe like your pot of money that is growing every month, contributing, generating for you. And it was a new concept to me. I've heard about it in different areas, but I've never done it for myself. And that was one of the bigger changes in my life, creating something that always grows and contributes to me. And then there was a space where I had to allow it to contribute to me, because that was the hardest part. Putting it aside, yeah, that choice was really intense the first time I did it, because I had the point of view I didn't have enough money, and it kept on proving itself really nicely. But when I started, Gary basically told me, either you'll continue doing the same thing you do, as you do, because you have the right point of view about it, or you will choose to set aside the 10%. It might be uncomfortable, or really, really uncomfortable, and you might see then that you generate more money already that month. And I can say that occurred, because I was like, yeah, doing the same thing, that's not why I'm in this class at all, and made it possible to come. So I'll do the most uncomfortable thing I can do. And that was basically my choices in the beginning with money. I'll choose everything that's so freaking uncomfortable I want to jump out the window.
So everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive the places and spaces that you can actually make money, we just trying to create it all.
Yes!
Right,
Get that right, wrong, but fuck online. Here's my jobs!
So I put it in that manner because how often do you, maybe people don't even realize that yet, but I'm going to ask a question. How often do you find that choosing the things that are uncomfortable or seem uncomfortable to you are the things that actually you, or create more for your life, or create greater for your life? And how, just like Lisa's saying, how about, what would it actually create things that just seem like, oh, like I'm never gonna be able to create money with that? What if that's actually the thing that would create more money for you than you can possibly imagine? And everything that doesn't allow that to show up, times the guys are just trying to grade it all.
Right, I'm good at park online shorts, but to be honest, I never found the one thing.
Good fucking luck finding the one thing. Is there ever one thing for anything for anyone?
But that is the concept in this reality.
Yes.
You have to find the one thing, or three things in your business, or whatever it is. You know, people tell you about, like, they constantly try to figure out what thing they should choose to become successful. And there are a lot of people that do create that, and it works for them. Just be aware if that's a creation that works for you. For me, that absolutely killed every time I was going for the one thing. When I started doing 10 or more things, money started flowing in a very different way. And the more I added, the more I generated in all areas. And I'm like, this is freaking weird. Very different.
And this doesn't have to be a Lisa and I talk thing. Please speak up if you have any questions.
No, it will be a Lisa and Connor talks a little bit.
Exactly. So you guys can ask questions. I'll also ask, is anybody having issues with our audio? I haven't.
Yeah, we're having internet technical thingies here.
I'm just making sure, because our internet is quite slow in the middle of France.
Love you, La France.
Okay, there's no one saying.
Is this anything to us?
We hear you.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
So does anyone desire more money? And do you guys want to show up, talk to us?
Does anyone have any questions? What are your forbidden desires with money?
I know one of the Connor fans.
Oh, what is it?
A photo shoot with lots of money on you.
I do. And it was like, I just kind of want to. It might be illegal, but I would love to use a United States like $100 bill, Benjamin Franklin, and wipe my butt with it.
I have no idea it's illegal.
I don't know. I mean, and then throw it away, I think. And then like throw it in the trash.
And you don't want to wash it.
So everything that brings up for everybody is sure I'm great at all.
But only well.
I'm just and like to have no point of view about it. Like whatever.
So use until he has no point of view. That might be like a lottery thing. Like if you have $1, I don't know.
Yeah, I only really care to do it once. I mean, I could easily do that right now. Actually, I could like go, but I'm not gonna.
The photo shoot is the shit and all that. So
I did.
We're gonna move that out of the conversation now. It goes sometimes a bit weird and off target, off topic. That's what happened now. We're back to money. Yes.
Okay. So a photo shoot naked with money all over me. Yeah, that sounds cool. I'd like to swim in money. Like, I was at a friend's house. Be different with money. I won't say good because that's far too much of a point of view, and a lot of people would look at this friend and go, "Wow, that's terrible with money." So very different with money, and it was at this house that I was like, "This is what it's like to actually swim in money." Everything in the house is of value. You would be hard pressed to find something could not have the opportunity or have the possibility for selling it for more than what you purchased it for. Holds its value at least. And so look around in your house and look at the things that you buy and sort of look at how you function in the world. And do you purchase things that have value, or do you purchase things that, as far as this reality is concerned, will pretty much, like an
I was saying, are you like it would go to then just pragmatic, practical,
yes.
or you purchase along the way as much as you can afford to pay.
And I'm not saying any of it's wrong or incorrect. It's just begin to look at what you create with the things that you purchase. It's mind-blowing across the world right now, especially in the United States. I'm not as familiar with other countries, but there is so little value put on items, antiques and things, and such that there are, like, you've got the baby boomer generation sort of reaching their ends at the moment, and a lot of them did have items of value, and so there are estate sales where items that could be purchased for far more than what they're going for, or are more valuable than what they're being bought for. You can find them because nobody else is actually buying anything of value. Everybody's going to IKEA and World Market and getting things that are created in China at a far lesser sort of level of quality. So yes, these are just the things that I see going on in the world today.
Yes.
Yes.
So I grew up with antiques. That's a normal thing for me. I still chose sometime and like not to buy anything that was worth something. Although that's not true. I always bought so I could sell it, even normal stuff. That was funny. But again, if you were willing to look at what would create wealth or fun or energy with money, what would show up if you're willing to include it? Because most people, when they look at, for example, what he's talking about, something that you invested that would make money or keep its value, a lot of people go to, I cannot afford that. If you have that, you really reach to be able to buy it. If you look at something you would like to have that in your life and you would like to buy it, ability of including that in your life, no matter if it takes a month, a year, or even a couple of years. Because the thing of dismissing it when it's not reachable in this moment doesn't create the future that you desire. So often when you include the future already in the now, you start creating so much more faster. That's one thing I see so much more when I start asking for things. I'm like, I don't even know how they would show up, and it quickly comes to, it basically shows up very quickly after just a while. So it's a question mark for you guys as well.
So if you're someone that has noticed that things come up in your life that you ask for, like you're like, oh, I wonder, even really got into access, or just want access. And if you're like, what the hell is access? Don't worry, look it up later. Before I really started using the tools of Access Consciousness a bunch, sort of in the early days, I was like, I wonder what it would be like if you tried to get through an airport without your ID. Like, is that even possible? Literally 2 days later, I lost my wallet and I had to go through the airport without my ID. When I got to where I was going, somebody shipped me my wallet because they found it in a taxi cab. And I was like, that was awesome. So if you're someone that's ever noticed that you ask something and then that shows up, would you actually be willing to use that same thing for money? Have you ever tried to use it for money? Have you ever tried to ask for something to show up with money? And have you seen it? Has it worked? If you've ever heard of a comedian named Jim Carrey, he actually talks about driving around looking at really large mansions in California, and he wrote himself a check for acting services for $10 million. Within 5 years, he received $10 million from a movie called Dumb and Dumber. I found out about this recently, so I wrote a check to myself. Everybody's gonna be like, why did you write it for $1 million? I wrote it for $1 million because that's where I'm starting, because I want that like within the next year.
That's great.
We'll see what happens.
Why would you even have a point of view that you were at 1 million?
What do you mean?
Like, we were almost like apologizing that you owed only 1 million.
Well, because I just told a story about somebody writing 10,
Doesn't
and then
matter.
why would you write 1?
One of the things I get, even if you just write 100,000, if that's the energy of
Yes.
gets you moving towards it, gets you excited, the amount is not really important. It's the energy that excites you to create that.
Exactly.
But if you start judging or comparing, he did 10 million, I should be doing 1 million. It's more of a proving that you have a right target instead of really looking what matches your energy. I've had far smaller targets, and those were matched so quickly. They were created within a couple of weeks, and I was like blown away. But they matched the energy I was creating. If I would have put 1 million now on a bill, it wouldn't create for me as much. So bigger or smaller amounts, it doesn't really matter. It excites you. Really, it's amazing what it starts creating. It's like the whole universe starts contributing to what you're looking at, and it's so much fun. That's one thing I like. But if you try to figure out if you're doing right or wrong, if you're asking the right questions along the way, or if you're doing enough, then you stop again the creation of that possibility.
I love this question. So we have a question from someone. I could say, like, if she wants to talk, thank you, Son, for sending the question. Also, so we've got a couple viewers on YouTube. I actually have to look in a different location for that. So the people on Google Hangouts, you guys can send messages in the chat. I've muted pretty much everyone. Send them your question in the chat, and I'll unmute you so you can talk if you want to do that. Otherwise, if you're on YouTube, Son will hopefully help you out. He keeps doing it, maybe, or
That's so funny.
ask somebody else, because I can't screen right now, and I can only see what we have going on here, not the YouTube questions. I was hoping. Okay, I'll go with the question. So, okay, so my brother owes me money from 8 years ago. I have been asking him for it. He said he is going to make a contribution soon. However, the amount he thinks he owes me is wrong. Thousands, please. So I think it has to do with thousands of dollars. Please, how do you demand the correct money owed? And he acknowledged that it is 1,000, or however much it is.
That is a good question. For my question would be, where is he coming from? What is his point of view? And then I would also look like, what are you willing to be to create this money in your life? And are you willing to lose it as well?
And also for everyone else on the call, this is for you as well, Safia, is when you loan someone money, never expect them to give it back. Unless it's like, like a business
deal?
Even a business deal, I would just not expect to get it back.
Well, it depends on what a loan is in a business, because it's
Yes.
so different to look at it.
So
But I get
different.
what you mean.
So
yeah.
a personal person, just
feel that.
anytime you want someone to leave your life, loan them money. If you would like someone to stay in your life, give them money. So Safia, if you want your brother to stay in your life, just let him have it. If you want him to go away from your life, continue to tell him it's a loan and tell him exactly how much he owes you. And even add to 8% to it if you like. Like, you owe me this much money plus 8% if you don't pay it. Done.
Yeah, the problem is, like, if you loan somebody money and you're making a deal now that wasn't created then, I'm not sure that always works. So you could add 8%, but for me personally, when I look at loaning or any deal I do, I can't add stuff afterwards. Doesn't always work. It can, but it doesn't always work. I would also look, one of the things I've done, me personally, when there's been things that, for example, with clients that were supposed to pay back money, I basically ask them, what are they capable of paying per month that won't basically create problem for them financially, because every person has a possibility of an amount that they can pay per month. So even if it's just $100 or if it's $200 per month, and having that continually. So are you willing to have this over a long time, or you want it now of them? The more significance, reaction, upset you have towards your brother, the less he will be willing to pay, usually, because he will perceive that energy. It's kind of feeding, maybe kind of like giving him energy. I don't know. So anytime there's any lifetimes together where you have owed him money, can we destroy and create that?
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
And everywhere you're upset with your brother, and everywhere you're putting more pressure and significance and charge against him, can we destroy and create that?
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
I remember one thing that Gary said in one class. I thought it was brilliant. He asked a woman, it was a family thing, he asked her to cry and say, basically started asking her to build a story towards this person that her financial situation is going really bad, like it's getting worse, 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 worse. So this was a long-term creation. And basically created a story that she's having trouble financially, who really needs help. And I hope the whoever other family member, I don't remember, could start supporting her. And basically asked her to start crying all the time, like really creating a really bad story, how bad it is. I don't know your situation or relationship to your brother. I don't know how much insight he has in your life, and I don't know where you guys are, so I can't say this is a good idea for you or not. But those are things crying can sometimes really help.
If you're a woman, you're a woman, key statement is if you're a woman. And I love the point of view of how, because I shouldn't say I love the point of view. It's like, I see where Lisan's coming from. As a woman, you have a much better chance of getting this from your brother than a man would from his sister, probably, just because women can cry and get a lot of people to do that. Like I was saying, I have a little bit of a different point of view in that look at the energy of how much energy you put in order to get the money back from your brother, or look at the energy of your life if you just let it go and move on with creating your life, saying not like goodbye and that you don't ever see him again, but only really do what works for you. Like, is the thing for you when you think about creating money is waiting for your brother to pay you or waiting for anyone else to pay you?
Yeah, that's going to be a roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a big roadblock into creation of your life.
Like the thing I loved that I've heard Gary talk about is you got to, in business, so I'll move on to sort of a business deal, is that you've got to treat your business like a drug dealer. Drug dealers only give you the stuff when you've paid them first. So I was involved in a lot of businesses that
I was involved in a lot of drug businesses. No, sorry.
I was involved in a lot of businesses that you got paid after you did work, and you didn't get paid until like 6 months after you finished the work. And I was like, this is the worst business model ever. I'm so not. So I like getting paid at the front, which is nice. So really look at the things that you'd like to do and really where you'd like to create money and what is going to be fun for you and what actually works for you. And
one thing I just want to mention when we say what works for you, pod and pock everywhere you show up with things. When anytime you feel like that doesn't work for me, pod and pock that too.
Yeah.
Because the point of view that it doesn't work for you, that often can close the door in the future where it looks similar, but it's a different situation. I've seen that where the universe totally fucks with me, giving me something I don't want to work at all with that company again. And what do? They start calling me and giving me jobs that I was like, are you guys kidding? Or like, is this a joke? Because it was an awesome deal and they were absolutely fucking crappy with me the prior time. I'm like, I did not have a point of view here. But I just want to mention it because a lot of people come when I coach them, they're like, that doesn't work for me. I've done it so many times. I'm like, yeah, and what if you allowed the universe to come to you even more and even greater? And you don't have to choose it if it doesn't work for you, and allow it to show up in a different way.
yes, and be looking more towards in to continue with that, be looking more towards what you can add to your life to make money right away. Ask that question. What else? What 5 things can I add to my life today to make money?
Yes.
And everything does not times God's name.
Get a matter around for the online shorts, boys. Yeah. I remember the first months because I used 10%. I absolutely started having cash in my wallet. I also added the question, what energy, space, and consciousness can I be to generate 10,000 more every month? It was kroners at that time, and I wasn't making a lot of money. So one of the things that I also required to look at is how much does it cost to live my life? How much per like every kroner that was coming in and out of my life, I was looking at that, and I wrote it down for 3 months to know what it cost to live my life. So when I was asking for more money, I knew where I was functioning from. Because asking for more money to have no clue how much it costs is like fluffy energy. That was really look at it. First time I hated doing it. I really absolutely did not like that.
So everything this conversation brings up for everybody, because this is making me yawn like crazy. We just trying to create it all.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. How much unaware, like Lisa talked about at the very beginning of this show we're doing, whatever you want to call this, how much unawareness of your financial, I'm not even going to say situation because it's a little more solid and unmoving. How much unawareness are you using to not to create the future?
You're funny.
Everything that is times God's name is trying to create it all.
Get a matter around for online shorts,
Like,
boys.
like the thing is, if that made you yawn, or if you just didn't even hear anything that Lisa talked about for the last, like, that's because that's your deal. You are not willing to be aware of your financial, trying to use a better word than situation, but I'm going to say situation because I can't think of a word that encompasses is how you are creating your finances. Let's actually say that instead. The unawareness that, so every,
but it's funny because there is a general energy in this world that you're supposed to be unaware with money. It's like it's the normal thing to be. You make money, you pay stuff, and then hopefully you'll have some extra. That's kind of a very general energy of people, and they make it every month and blah blah blah. So they're like, wow, what is your financial situation? How would you like to have it? And have you even looked at it? I mean, Gary keeps on asking, like, what is your financial reality? How would you like it to be for you? I'm like, in the beginning, I don't even know what to do with that question. He was like, get away, I don't want you in my life. And now it's more like fun to look at, because now it's just like, it's the magic I can be every day with me, with this world, with the universe. But I have to be willing to see what magic I'm willing to be and what else would I like to be and have in my life as well.
So how many of you, just like Lisa was saying there, and I kept yawning again, how many of you are not actually functioning from your financial reality? What? So how many of you are actually functioning from someone else's financial reality? How many of you are functioning from your parents' financial reality? How many of you are functioning from your dad's financial reality? How many of you are functioning from your mom's financial reality? How many of you are functioning from your dog's financial reality? Her dog's financial reality is actually really cool. I'm not having that. Last night when we arrived at this hotel in France, like a freaking gorgeous like house.
It's like a mansion.
It's a mansion with like a back courtyard and amazing, great food, all of the above. And the guy that sort of
is running the place.
Place is giving Sinya everything. Here's water. Here's this. Here's that. And everything she's going.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, oh, that's not good enough for you either. She's like, no, I don't want that. No, not having that either. Looking at us like, can't you do any better?
My dog is very rude. I mean, I know her breakfast in the prior place was awesome. She got everything she wanted to. So I was like, this dog really creates a different reality. And I've learned so much from her because it's choice and it creates more instead of like, oh, I have to say yes to whatever I receive because somebody's gifting it to me. And I do sometimes have to apologize and crack a joke because people like wonder, what kind of dog do you really have? And I'm like, yes, well, a dog that really chooses what she likes. Even if she's half lab, she doesn't freaking just eat because she has a mouth. And I'm like, so where are we being dogs?
Wow. No kidding. How many of you are doing that with money?
Yeah.
Let me just chew it up because I have a mouth.
Yeah.
And I got the energy of really like, how much do you just spend money just on random shit? You have it.
And you're supposed to get rid of it. You're
And
not
just-
supposed to have it. You're supposed to not have it.
How much of you are being a lab with your money and just going, raw, raw. I know it doesn't really make sense, but energetically, there's this thing of like not choosing, of just, dog, there for a lab, there's food I must eat because I have mouth. For you, is there I have to spend it?
But it can also be this, like I've had a couple of friends where they have this point of view and they don't have so much money. So they, and it's funny, I had two very close friends. One was really always like keeping her money and buying very cheap things. So she felt that she had more. The other one was basically choosing the best thing she could find, not buying so many things, but always better, like things that really made her life fun. I was like, how's she doing that? Because it was intriguing, because she wasn't generating a lot of money. I know that. We had a really great conversation about it, but she inspired me to look at what I really desire, because then it shows up in different ways, in different fun way, that it wasn't even that expensive when she basically gave me the input of it all. I'm like, but she was willing to have it in her life. So she wasn't going with, I don't have so much money, so I have to choose the cheap things. No, she was going, I have this amount of money, I'm going to choose this in my life.
Everywhere you're all doing that, we're trying to trade off.
Good man, right for fuck all insurance boys. Me on.
So
He's my yarner and
Yes.
talker.
So willing to start asking, how would I actually handle myself in, and I'm going to say this, and when I say this, it's any given situation throughout the day. How would I handle myself if I was $5 million? Like if you had 5 million, and I'm talking like in cash, because most people have, if you've got, I shouldn't say most people, but if you had like $5 million in wealth because someone valued a company or some of your assets in such a manner, but at the same time you felt like you had no money because your bank account was pretty much at zero. So if you've had $5 million in cash, how would you sort of handle yourself? Is because how do you actually function when you know you don't have a need? This is sort of the energy that we got to with the dog. Like, is the dog eating a ton because it's afraid that someday it not have food in front of it? Or are you spending money to buy things because you're like, well, I have the money now, so I better buy this thing because I might not have the money, so I should buy the thing now. If you actually had $5 million in cash, how would you carry yourself? And the reason I ask that question is, what would it take you to be? So what energy, space, and consciousness can you be to be the energy of money with total ease? Everything.
That is Dylan just was dreaming. Everything could have been around for fuck all my shirts. Reminds me that was Sydney. She's dreaming. I think she's dreaming about her jet plane that I keep on talking about. I'm not trading yet.
I was actually looking at taxes the other day on how Donald Trump, all of his corporate jets, in order to basically not have to pay taxes on them. So it's quite the network. He does a lot to confuse the IRS in that area. As far as just do a whole bunch of confusing things that when the IRS, so in your local internal revenue system for whatever country you're at, looks at your taxes, they go, Jesus Christ, this is confusing. I'm going to move on to my next project.
That's funny. I like
Yes.
that though. So wow. Oh, I was like, is there a question? So please join with questions if you want as well.
If you have any
because
more
this is
questions.
fun.
And for Safia,
Yeah.
if you took a picture of her name the other day, didn't you?
What?
When we were in the champagne
Oh
place?
no, that's Sophia.
Oh, never mind then. Safia, please let us know if there's any other information you require around the thing that you have going on with your brother. I mean, you could just do like loan shark manner too, and hire someone like, hey, I'll give you 5, make sure he pays me.
Just make sure that you don't want the person in your life again.
Right. Yes.
Family, you know, must stick around even if they don't like you or not.
Pay me the fucking money.
But what joy are you avoiding with money that you could have, but you're not allowed because nobody else is willing to have fun with money?
And would you be willing to acknowledge all the money that you actually do, money you've created? I was at the Joy of Business class in Denver with Simone Milasas, and in that class, I was like, I'd like to know what the fuck it's like to actually create money. She's like, you haven't created any money. I'm like, not on my own. She's like, how about all your, like, I'm like, I've only done it through like a job, you know, I've had a job. But she's like, how is that not you creating money? So would you actually acknowledge all the money that you created by, you know, having a job and actually working for someone else and all of that? Woo! And all of that, we just trying to create it all.
Get him that right round and fuck online shorts, boys, beyonds. I remember when I was employed, the few times I was.
It's like, I know how to talk about employment.
No, but it was one of the things because I was having a business and I was coaching in that area too. So I was like, because people like had this point of view, having your own business was better than being in the same thing. You're providing your time and selling it. So that's your own business, even if you're employed. It doesn't really matter how you do it. It's just a choice. But if you have a point of view that being employed is less valuable or not so good, or you can not generate as much because you have a fixed amount of income per month, then you're limiting yourself. What's really possible.
Although I personally do have the point of view that having your own business is better because there's these things called LLCs where you get to like do what you want and it's an expense for your business.
Yeah,
like, but again, we're on Business in France right now. Business expense.
I like business things too, but I also just want to get people out of the point of view that if there's anything wrong or limiting being employed, because you can generate much more money.
Yes.
Even when you're employed. But most people just see like employment means you have a certain amount coming in every month. That's one of your incomes. That's just one of them. So what else is possible there that you don't consider because you're employed?
And everything that doesn't allow you to do whatever it takes to create the life and living you'd like to have. Everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive the fact that that is actually possible. Okay, you know what? No, it isn't.
Good amount around from fuck online shorts by saying fucking amazing possibilities you all have. But the problem is if you try to figure it out, it's really hard. I can just say the last years, I had no clue it would show up, but I was always willing to create more and had fun creating, and I was willing to add more. I remember when I was so exhausted, I didn't know how to do more, and Gary's like, just ask what else you can add to your life. And I'm like, I'm too tired to ask a question. But it doesn't mean you have to do shit more. It doesn't mean you have to do more. Add more. Add more. Just ask the question.
What can I add to my life? You will be blown away by the things that show up. Important, though, when they show up. Otherwise, you're going to shut them down. How does it get any better than this?
Thank you, universe.
Yes. Thank you. This is amazing.
Wow.
for years, like I went and traveled Southeast Asia and New Zealand and lived in Australia for a little bit, and people were like, Connor, why don't you go to Europe? I had a lot of people asking me, why don't you go to Europe? I'm like, because I'll be there. That was the one place I was like, I'm not worried about what will happen. I know I'll create it, or what. I didn't even feel like I had to create it. I was just like, I know what will happen. And again, when Leeson was like, hey, would you like to help me drive down from Sweden to France? I'm like, oh God, like help someone move.
No, he's like, I'll drive so many hours. I'm like, you sound like me.
You cannot tell me how many conversations we had. I'm like, really? We have to drive like 40 some hours? And now that we've started, I don't care how much we drive.
No, but it's so funny. The first conversation we had, you reacted on like, I'm driving. And I was like, and he's like, and then in the conversation, in the sentence, he stopped. I'm like, sound like me. And I'm like, no, it sounds like me. That was hilarious because you stopped yourself in the conversation.
See? There you go.
But then, of course, you can have different other things. He's not really said so many points of views about it. He was more than excited.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I definitely do not like driving long hours. Choosing every day doing something fun that we don't usually do. And it's just like showing up like that. We're talking about it, and the next day it basically shows up. I'm like, we had champagne, and we're like, we won't drink it up. I mean, it was a $300 bottle. I'm like, we shouldn't be drinking it up.
Should have drank the whole freaking bottle. But we didn't. We are doing so much, and it's so funny. Like the thing you'll hear Gary talk about, everybody thinks that being means you aren't doing. We are doing so much that we couldn't finish this $300 bottle of champagne because I'm like, I'm tired. Pretty much every night I forget to brush my teeth because I'm like, by the time I make it to the bed, I'm like, I'm tired. I'm so tired. I can't even move. And that's being, is you get to do whatever the hell you want to do. Oh my God, it's fantastic.
Oh, it's funny. Yes, and it's so funny today. I think it was Francesca. Like, where are you? Like, in France. We're staying here for 2 days. No, I think we're staying here for another day because we had fun really working today. And she's like, but your end destination is Marbella, right? I'm like, yes. Really? I'm like, yeah, my end destination is Marbella. I don't know when I'm arriving. I don't even have a place yet. So I will be looking for that tomorrow.
We don't actually look at, you know, our next destination. This is the first time we've stayed in one location for more than one night. And pretty much every time we're like middays is when we're finally looking at like, where are we going to stay tonight? It's been a brand new creation.
It's really fun to see because one of the things that also trains your muscle, if you want to train your muscle in creation, be willing to do some things every day, something different, because it gets you into the question. There's not a lot of conclusions. I haven't been on this road. We could have driven down the way I drove last time, and every time we're like, nah, that doesn't sound like much fun. And I didn't really have a point of view if we should do it or not do it. And there's no conclusions. What's the right way? Where we should drive? What's the best city? Because I haven't been in all these cities, but we keep on just going with that energy. We see, okay, we're seeing not to detour too much because we know it's going to take a while to go. And we always like, oh, there's an NG. That sounds like fun. Or we find an hotel that is really cool. And we're like, oh, we want
Le Clos d'Amboise. I
Wow.
don't say that last word. Amboise?
S-E is what
Amboise.
then you do pronounce this. Yeah, well, but what if you're willing to be more on the question? Because when I'm home it's so funny because often at home I ask less questions than when I'm on the road. But it also creates, because I cannot conclude about anything, I have to be more in the question, and I love training myself doing that. But the funny part is we're just like question marks. And small things just show up, bigger things show up. Well, this is fun. And what else can we ask for that would be fun to create?
I like that ring the other day.
Yeah. Oh my God. We surprised my dad. I was driving. I haven't been driving so much. I was driving.
Haven't been driving so much. She drove 1 hour at the beginning, and then was like, at the end of the day, it was like, I drove 4 hours. She drives like 1.5, 2, and she's like, I did so much driving today.
I didn't say. I said I'm so tired. Like, I was tired.
You said I'm so tired. I did today. You said driving.
Okay.
Their driving was involved in you being tired.
But the funny part, when I was driving, I was like, oh, we're driving kind of, because my dad loves when I go by when I'm driving in Germany, and if there wasn't the route, I was not going there. And I was like, but we're kind of passing by the antique market on our way where my dad is. Connor, do you want to go to an antique market and surprise my dad? And he's like, huh? We're going to the antique market? Can I learn something? Like, he started being very enthusiastic about it. And the funny part, I was like constantly getting like, are we going to pack up with him? Like, weird. So it ended up we're coming there a bit later than we thought, and the market was closing earlier than I had. I thought they closed at 6, they closed at 5. So we were literally coming when my dad was packing the last things, and we're like, we helped him to the car, and Connor helped him. And then I was waiting there with the stuff that it was still in his booth, and I was like, what else can we create here? What else is possible? And then I was just like, something was a bit shiny over in that corner. So I went over there and we're like, oh, here's jewelry. And I was just started looking at things.
I also want to point out too, oh, wait, did you talk about, you haven't finished talking about the ring yet?
No, can you
Okay,
add to
keep
it?
going. Well, it's how much we've seen people create. So she's talking like, a sense I got when we're at this like antique show is how much people are like, a lot of people are very into their, my point of view is that they're crappy realities, but their reality of, oh, this life is hard.
Yes.
So everybody decided life has to be hard. Will you just try and create it all? From everybody else, because that is pretty much the definition of life, and the definition of a good life is hard. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all night, short, supposed to be on. I saw it at that, and then before we were even there, we were in Copenhagen, and I got to go to a restaurant of like we'll call it Access Consciousness favorite restaurant in Copenhagen, where the owner of the restaurant works his freaking butt off in this restaurant all the time. But I'm not sure he would say hard. Maybe he would. But he was having so much fun with this restaurant and having so much fun telling me where I think before Access, like people from Access during classes going to his restaurant and things, he didn't have a whole lot of patrons. And then people that were coming to his restaurant started giving him some tools from Access Consciousness on how to, he's never been to a single freaking class, right?
No, he's been now too. He was
okay, he's been to a few classes.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's been to a few classes and he's using the Access tools for his restaurant. He was telling me, he's like, Connor, you won't freaking believe it. Really intense Italian, Serbian, Macedonian in Copenhagen. And you won't believe it. One day I was asking, I need cash. I need cash for my business. I need lots of cash. Cash. And then he's like, but then I got to the point, the whole day, everybody paid cash. And at the end of the day, he's like, oh, I need someone to not pay cash because I've got to show money on the internet or on electricity, as I like to call it. He didn't say those words. I like to call it electricity, electronic money. I just have to show that I made money that day. And he's literally walking across the street and he looks inside the restaurant and basically his last patron.
No, he wasn't in the restaurant. That doesn't matter.
So he was telling me he's walking across the street to go get something somewhere else. And he looks in the window and his last patron, table 6 or whatever, is putting cash in to the bill. And he goes, oh God, but what would it take to be paid with credit card? And right as he asked that question, they pulled the cash out and put credit card in instead. And he's like, yes. So this is how much fun you can have creating money. I did the same thing. I was literally like, what's it going to take for me to be creating more cash? Like I spent most of my life being paid in direct deposit electric money. And when I saw people that had cash, I'm like, how do you even have cash? Like I have to go to the ATM in order to get cash. And I just started, it was earlier this year. I was like, what's it going to take for me to have more cash? Next thing I knew, every Access class I did, cash. Every client I had was paying cash. And I was like, geez. And I could use more credit card.
But the thing is, like, for me, it's like I have a business and I do cash and credit card. But the thing is, it's not, cash doesn't mean that you're not putting in your business either. It doesn't mean you have to go like it's white and black money. It's more, for me, it was like, for example, in the beginning when I didn't have money, I took out everything I had in cash just to have that energy. And my business still has cash and credit in it, both of it, because I love the energy. My bookkeeper was like, oh, it's harder to track, da, 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 da. I'm like, I really would like to have it. So is it okay for me to have it physically? Because she was giving me some crap about how it didn't work. And then and I'm like, am I allowed to have a cash account? And she's like, yes. So we're tracking that really nicely because I do like having my cash. No matter what it means, I like having it. So also my 10%, I take out mostly of my business and have it in cash.
10%. We haven't talked about that. No, we did.
I started talking about that. Yes. But it's just like, so you know, like, it's not about cash means that you're not putting in your business, and credit card means that you are putting it in your business. That's just like a weird thing for me. It's basically, it's just a way of having different energies. But most people are used at the moment, they have a plastic card and using that for everything. In Denmark, the example is kind of cool because in Denmark, nobody uses cash, or hardly ever. In Sweden either. So what would happen? One of my things I have when I do money classes is having an exercise of 1 day or 1 week only pay everything in cash. I don't mean like bills like your electricity or your apartment or something like that. I mean everything else. What if you used cash? And it doesn't matter if you have to go to the ATM. But look what it creates if you're willing to have cash in your life. And it's kind of an exercise to use it because most people just take out the card and swipe it and they're done.
And carry an amount of cash in your wallet that a rich person would have.
According to your point of view.
Exactly. That could be $100. For me, I started out at $500. Now I keep $1,000 in cash in my wallet. And it's really quite funny because a lot of people, if they see me open my wallet, they're like, holy shit, money bucks. And I'm like, yeah. You are correct. Because the more money you are willing to have, the more money you are willing to receive, and the more money people would like to actually give to you. It's quite odd.
And the people that I don't know how many people have reacted in class and said, but then I'm afraid that somebody will rob me, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yes, how often does that really occur? I had one in class, she has been robbed twice. She was like, wow.
How much money do you want to have stolen from you? You got to be aware of your money and tell your money to watch over itself, folks.
But also be willing to start with something.
Yes.
So I said, like, but if you're afraid all the time, that great energy. But what amount would you be willing to have today as cash in your wallet? And increase that all the time. So you give yourself a chance. If you're not willing to just jump for it and go on an adventure, be kind to yourself. Choose an amount that's fun today and then look at it every week. But then please look at it every week. Make it on your calendar to really, because this is the thing. You give up or you forget, so you don't create more. But if you put it in, like being obnoxious about it, what would it create? So you don't have to always destroy and create all your problems before you choose something new. A little bit of an add to the first question that we had about the brother. So my relationship with my family is shit. They see all I'm creating in my life since Access. And how happy via Facebook. Not gonna work. What else is possible? I'm the happiest being I have ever been. Been winning concert tickets, freebies. I'm like a VIP. I'd like to be VIP with creating money and classes. Can you ask them? I'm stopping myself being that VIP with money.
And that said, money is anything stupid people from this reality find as valuable. Note that. So when you get something for free in life, like concert tickets and things like that, acknowledge it as a creation of money. It still has value to people in this reality. It is valuable. And notice it's an energy. When you create energy, even if it doesn't come in as cash or money in the bank, acknowledge, wow, look at my creation. So just like Safia is saying here, she loves being VIP and her family's trying to stop you. Sorry, everybody. The more you become, the more money you make. It's fucking weird, but the people around you don't expect them to support you.
No, it's funny because I've changed a lot. My financial reality and even my family changed towards me when I am more successful. And I would never have thought so. And a lot of friends dropped off. The more happy I get, the more, they just disappear. And I'm not, in the beginning, I remember the first months on Access, I got so freaking happy. Half of the unhappy business people around me just, even I tried to call them and like have coffee with them, gone. And since then I understood there is a different energy. So I started asking who would I like to be with? What are the energies that contribute to my life? Can I talk to people that have much more experience, money, and could inspire me? And I love people to come and go. Some people will just need to be happy, and there's other people that I'm just the most annoying person on earth when I show up in their world, because I can just smile and I'm annoying to people, and that's fine. So what if you allowed people to be with you that love being with you and allow other people just to go away?
I think, Safia, the way you're talking, you know what? You're doing great. Can I just say you're doing great?
Yes.
Keep going. Don't quit. Never give up. Never give in. Never quit.
What would happen to your life if you were willing to let go of the money you desire from your brother?
Ooh, I like the question. The gifts that you get, do they also count to the 10%? I also run that question with myself all the time. Ask, energetically look at it. Do I require more money in my 10%?
So if I have a gift that is not cash, I do not add it to the 10%.
I don't either. Personally, I just be like, yay, a gift, sweet. But if I get money, I take 10% of it and put it in the 10% account.
Yes. I do that too, and that's the most joyful energy I have to do that, and I just love it. Because
you can receive a gift, like, what if the gift is priceless? How do you put priceless into your 10% account? Well, you can put the energy of priceless in it. Ooh, I'll do that right now. Done. Thank you. Making my 10% account.
Exactly. I was like,
Put
we
the
can
energy
do,
on
we
it.
can do a different
What?
10%, like all the gifts. Like one thing else I noticed myself, that when it started rolling in so much more new stuff and I asked for more things to show up, it started showing up a lot of gifts and different things. And then I kept on forgetting how much I had created. So while I started writing down everything that I changed, created, made, started writing a list of all my 10% in my business, in my private, to have. And I sent to summarize. I'm like, oh my God. And I like counted it just for the joy of it.
Yeah, and it's all this whole thing of acknowledgement is what will create more for you: money, life, everything. Acknowledging what you have created and what you have. That's one of my favorite things too. Like she's talking about with the 10% account. As I look at it, and the first time I noticed I had like $8,000 in my 10% account, I'm like, wait a second, I got $8,000? You're telling me I created $80,000? I'm like, what the fuck? How did I do that? How's anybody doing that? Sweet. Like that's what that means, right? If you've got $8,000 in your 10%, that means somewhere you created $80,000. Good on ya. So just keep up with it and acknowledge when whatever you created. And if you're like, Connor, wow, that's a lot. And you say you've got $50 in your account, freaking be happy that you created 500. Like a little kid. Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, I was grateful the first month when I just could put in 10, 20, 30, 100. And then the first month I couldn't even put 100 in it at the most. But it was so, I was just so happy to see something grow. So even if that feels like a far away creation, what if you started? Because you do not know what will be in the next 3 years or 4 or 5. You have no idea. And what I've seen with the 10% is it rolls really quickly when you're willing to allow it to contribute to you, if you're having fun doing it. One thing I hear a lot of my clients when they say in class, I do it because I heard it in Access. And I'm like, that makes no sense to me. Because if you do anything because somebody told you it's good, you're not really creating it or contributing or allowing it even to create for your life. It's just something you put away. And then the second question, what can I do with it? How can I use it? Or how, like, it's more like, how can I spend it? And I'm like, it's so funny because you're not doing it to create a change in your life.
Yeah. So it's getting close to dinner time for us.
Yes.
And we would like to tell you, do we have the dates yet for our money call?
Of course, the 1st of January.
1st of January. We're starting on the new year. So if you...
2 hours. It's 3 days in a row. First, the first part is 3 days. 1st, 3rd, and 5th of January. It's 2 hours. We're going to do intensely. We're going to do some practical exercises with you. You can have a little bit of a homework to work with questions. So you're creating mode in between. So it just amps up, amps up, amps up. So it's going to be a really cool. I'm very excited.
I forgot what we're doing. Are we recommending they get the money workbook?
Yes, we do recommend them. And we will take out things.
Forcing it.
No, we're not going to force this because there's no creation with money that works with force ever. It's like, how's sex with fucking force? It's not
that's fun. Exactly what I was thinking about.
I think
try and have sex with money. I mean, forced sex with money. Have sex with money, but not forced.
To the bills, the coins might be a little harsh. Recommendation.
Depends on what
I know. Just
I haven't done that. Jeez, everybody's questions just go out the window.
But it's going to be fun. It's one of my most exciting things. So no, we do recommend the Money Workbook. I also wrote a couple other books in the class description just for you guys to see. These are energies that are really awesome to you.
And the cool part about it is we're doing this class, this money class at the beginning of January. Yes. And then after that, for people that were in that one and anybody that's done the money workbook 5 times, we'll be doing an advanced money workbook class.
I say 3 times, but it doesn't matter. We're not agreeing.
She says 3 times. Whatever. I don't. You know, I would personally prefer that you don't hold the class. Whatever. So, money. Join us in January.
How does it get any better than this?
What's that?
I was just jumping in because I've tried these money workbook and other money calls prior, and there's something about doing it together with other people, especially when the money workbook is in. Do you have time to just address a little bit about how it is to do it in a group than to sit by yourself when you're doing this, because the topic is so fucking big.
I know. Like
Yeah.
what I've noticed when I've done the Money Workbook telecall series is the joy that has been so different, and also addressing the weird things that pop up where you basically at home are wondering, you try to work through it, but when you address it together in a group, it just like goes really beyond, and you get a totally different experience, and we get to look at the awareness that you're having, because that usually is such a great contribution to wherever we're all heading. So the group energy like almost amplifies, for me it amplifies it so beyond. I saw in the last calls that I've had, they started making money so quickly. I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
Also, think about it. Like, if you're like, you're just saying that because you want us to be on it, fine. Keep your point of view. Or look at it as like, is running bars more fun by yourself or with somebody else? Is running a body process more fun by yourself or with somebody else? Masturbation more fun by yourself or with somebody else? How much more fun are the things that you've done by yourself when you do them with somebody else?
And it's just choice. We're giving a possibility here of the joy of creation. I love the Money Workbook. I've worked it through with many groups. I just can say the joy that has been created with it.
And were we planning on doing things with, I'll talk about stock market and stuff
Not
like
in
that?
the first part.
Not in the first part.
No.
So at some point in time, maybe after we do those first 3 calls, I'll give some technical,
We can talk about that later.
yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll do technical stuff on the stock markets. She's going to do technical things on antiques. How's that sound? Okay, everybody. We're going to go hit dinner in France.
Bye, bye, bye. Au revoir.
Au revoir.